It is officially week 5, and the 3-1 Colorado Buffaloes are heading into Florida to take on the 3-0 UCF Knights. It's going to be a big stormy weekend in Florida, so hopefully this game doesn't get delayed. But we opened up as 15.5 underdogs, that's a lot of numbers, and we'll definitely get into that with this Colorado versus UCF preview. But welcome in everybody to Buffs Banter, presented by Believe Network. My name is Dean Frank, and I'm here with my co-host Oscar Gonzalez Moore. Oscar, let's get into it, man.
Let's do it, man. There's so much to unpack. Dion's going home this week. Travis is going home this week. Fun fact, the Buffs have 18 players from Florida. I don't know if you knew that. Second to only Texas, who has 21. So I'm excited, man. This is almost a homecoming game for a lot of our players. I know Craig, one of our defensive players, said everyone's trying to trade tickets. It seems like there's going to be a good Buffalo showdown at the Bouncy House for sure. Super exciting game. Every game I feel like we've covered on this podcast is like, this is the test. This is the test, though. We are right now, I think, 14 or 13 and a half point underdogs. And I think we can flat out win this game. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I mean, you said it perfectly. Every single week, it feels like a bigger game, and that's just because it is. Like, the stakes just get higher every single week. And this week, we got Fox Noon kickoff back. I mean, I remember last week when we did it against CSU, that was awesome being there at Boulder. So for them to fly out to UCF, I mean, it's probably UCF's biggest game of the week exposure-wise, because everyone's going to be watching them if they haven't seen them already. And we can definitely get into UCF because they have a pretty star-strutted offense. They average 45 points. I mean, they've only played 3 games. They just are coming off their bye, and they played against where did that start? They played against New Hampshire, Sam Houston, and they just beat TCU on a game-winning field goal. So definitely coming in 3-0 and off the bye, like they haven't really had too much tests yet. Versus where it feels like this Colorado team has only had tests. You know, going into Nebraska, beating CSU, now this Baylor game. So in a way, it's like two opposite sides of the spectrum, and I guess we'll have to figure out which team is really the real deal.
Yeah, I think this game is so exciting for so many reasons, but one of the reasons I'm very excited to see the way this plays out is I finally think we match up well against the defense. This team, not only are they similar to Colorado in the sense that they tend to start off slow, like they came back by 21 to TCU.
Yeah.
Props for them. They ran the ball too, which is like super impressive to come back. But also, they don't blitz. They only have 2 sacks recorded on the season. Shedeur has been sacked 17 times, which I believe is the most in the nation. So I don't know if they're going to change their game plan, knowing that our offensive line is probably the weakest part of this football team. But that being said, I'm hoping that gives Shedeur a lot of time. And like we've said on every freaking podcast, man, our star players, our wide receiver core, it's full of pros. You know what I mean? And there's one guy, Travis Hunter, who's going to get open all the time. You know what I mean? He's going to be an option all the time. So I'm really excited to see what Shedeur is going to be able to do with what I assume would be more zone coverage and more time in the pocket to be a decision maker.
Yeah, UCF is actually ranked 94th in the country in pass defense. So it'll definitely be up there. I'm taking the over. That's the best way to put it. But looking at the offensive, the offense, it's really 2 different sides of the spectrum. Obviously, Shedeur in Colorado, super pass heavy, while UCF is probably the best running team in the country. They have RJ Harvey, who has over 450 rushing yards and 8 touchdowns just 3 weeks into the season. And not to mention KJ Jefferson, their quarterback, who is probably the fastest quarterback in the country.
Yeah, I mean, and it just feels like for Colorado, this team is coming together at the right time. The linebacker run grade is 3rd in the country right now. Like, can we give those guys some props? I mean, Bentley, 40 points up on his PFF run defensive grade, which is amazing from last year. And, earlier in the season, it was almost like, God, this defense needs to get it together. And now it feels like we talked about how this team had all the pieces. It just wasn't fluid. But now it feels like we are a team, especially after that big Baylor game, man. That's got to give us some momentum. And I know this Central Florida team is coming off a bye week, but honestly, I don't know if that gives them an advantage or like if we had lost against Baylor, I'll put it this way. They would definitely be ready to come and hound us. That would have brought the mojo a little bit down for this Colorado team. But I think coming off such a thrilling victory, and you said it best, the Central Florida team, we don't really know what to expect. They just snuck by TCU. We could 100% go out there and win this. I don't think it's going to be a pretty game on the defensive side of the ball. Like you said, RJ Harvey, absolute beast, maybe the best running back in college football right now. Kobe Hudson, that is going to be a super interesting matchup. I know they like to run the ball first. So maybe him and Travis won't be as apparent of a matchup as college football viewers are hoping it'll be. But if we stop the run, Kobe Hudson is like a great add, he's a great addition to this offense, whether they're a run first team or not. Like definitely a number one wide receiver, definitely pro level receiver. So it'll definitely be, there's just so many things to watch, man. I'm like having trouble spitting it all out of my mouth because I'm just so excited to see this game, man. I really think we can go shock the world right now. And like this team is just a reality TV show. You know what I mean? Like, how the hell did we win that game? Like, I don't know. And now if we go into Florida and beat this team as 14-point underdogs, man, oh man, the media is going to eat it up.
It's crazy. The on three rankings, like they're just hating on us, man. And every single week it happens. And it seems like no matter what the game beforehand, it's like we're still projected to lose every game after this week, which is nuts. Like, come on, give us some slack. Like, there's a couple teams like Kansas, Cincinnati. Like, you got to give us the benefit of the doubt in those games. I mean, we're 3-1. We've showed that we can handle discipline. And yeah, I guess just, excuse me, the one thing going into this week that scares me a bit is we've lost the last 13 out of 14 road games against conference opponents. I know this is the first time we're playing on the road in the Big 12, but that is an interesting stat because we definitely play better when we're home, and it scares me a little bit. But I guess you are kind of right where a bunch of our players are from Florida, so like maybe that heat or the humidity over there won't affect us too much. Actually, there is a storm, so we're going to have to keep looking at that too because I really don't want this game to be pushed back any longer because I'm just anticipating for it to happen now. But one thing I did want to talk about is a quick injury update. It does look that we're going to be a little more healthy going into this week. I know Coach Prime spoke yesterday in a press conference. He said Dallin Hayden is going to be fully able to play. So I think we'll finally have the 1 and 2 running back game with Michael Welch and Dallin Hayden. It'll be interesting to see if Hayden could get going because, those first couple weeks of the season was still when we didn't really have that running game. So I guess it'll be interesting to see if this was really Michael Welch's spot to lose or if Dallin Hayden can come in and give us some momentum there. And along with that, real quick, I don't think Shiloh's going to play. We got to bye next week. So I feel like the best decision is to just keep him off the field, get him as healthy as he can be because this defense has been playing well anyways. Carter Stoudemire, who has come in for him, is like showing up huge, and he definitely can be a starter with or without Shiloh. And then last, Chidozie, a defensive back who actually had the highest defense rating through week 2. He's coming back as well. So we should be healthy. No excuses coming into this week. And yeah, I mean, we got to prove the world wrong once again, being underdogs.
Yeah. To add on to that, I think it's important to note that Colorado is actually flying in Wednesday, or I guess today, the time we're making this podcast, instead of Thursday, which I think is a very smart move by Coach Prime because I do think the humidity there is a big factor, especially, you can be from wherever you are, but playing in Colorado and playing in Florida are two different atmospheres, including how Florida does football. You know what I mean? Those people, Florida and Texas, notoriously known as the biggest football states, their fans are there. You know what I mean? They're present. They'll make their presence known. This will definitely be very similar crowd to the Nebraska game in the sense that like it's football or death for these people. You know what I mean? But just kind of segmenting into some of the keys to win this game. KJ Jefferson, their quarterback, he's thrown the ball 51 times in 3 games. He's averaging less than 20 throws a game. So I think if we can stop the run, which we have a really good chance of doing, like I was just talking about, our linebackers are killing it right now. Let's make KJ uncomfortable. Let's make him throw the ball more than 20 times, like at least 30 times, and see what happens. Because I think he will definitely become uncomfortable in that pocket, as he's typically not throwing the ball that much. And I think our defense will be the key to winning this game.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about stopping the run game. Obviously, that also includes KJ Jefferson running himself. We haven't been too decent so far with just stopping QB scrambles. So that's a takeaway I'm definitely going to be looking into this game. And yeah, I guess kind of just going back and forth, like being on Fox Noon kickoff, I really think this is like the Super Bowl for UCF. They're going to get the most exposure they will all season. And you talk about Florida fans being huge football fans, which we know that. But is UCF the real deal? I mean, there's Florida State, who obviously hasn't had the best year, but the history is there. There's Miami. There's so many teams in Florida, like University of Florida, who's with Tim Tebow in that history, and they have a great rookie quarterback this year with DJ Lagway. So the state of Florida, like, I guess the team is up in the air right now of who is their college football team, because FSU is obviously not having a good year. So is that UCF? I mean, that's what they're here to establish this year. And they're 3-0 coming off the bye. I mean, I've watched a couple press conferences they had with their players. It didn't seem like there was any, like, it isn't personal per se, which is different for us because usually it's like the other team is just hating on us or just talking smack in some way. But it sounds like it is just straight business this week. Going into Florida is really going to be a business game. And yeah, the final line right now is at 15.5. So how does that make you feel? Predictions, like how do you see the game ending up?
Yeah, I mean, I still think the entire world is sleeping on Colorado. I just made a video going over the power rankings for the Big 12 that just came out, and they have Colorado at 10 and UCF at 4. Both, I think Colorado should be pushed up and UCF should be pushed down. I think this game is going to be a lot closer than people think. And this is a trap. If you're a sports bettor, listen, people love to see Colorado lose. You know what I mean? This game is going to be decided by a touchdown or less, in my opinion, if both teams come out and play their best ball. And I honestly think this game is a little personal. Like, we always find a way to make it personal. You know what I mean? Whether it's the media giving us that narrative. But like I said, so many of our players are from Florida. Prime is from Florida. He is not going to want, this is a personal game for him. This is a statement game for Colorado. Prime is not going to go in there and take this lightly. Not like he ever does, but like hometown, man. This is where he's from. Florida State, like he said. Travis Hunter was committed to Florida State. We got him to swap. I mean, it's just going to be a great showdown. I wish you guys could feel my excitement through the camera right now, but I am out of this world, just pumped to get into this.
And main takeaway for me is really just coming out hot. We talk about this all the time, but like that first quarter really decides so much because we don't want to be playing down. Like we saw, I mean, obviously we came back from Baylor. UCF also came back from TCU. So we know both of these teams can come back and show endurance when they really need to. But I would hope it doesn't have to. But if it does happen, if this game becomes a shootout, I think we win. I mean, this offense can beat any other offense. Like going band for band, this offense definitely has the talent. So I guess we'll have to look at that. We'll look at if it's a high scoring game or not. But my last thing is really just we got to come out hot after last week. I mean, I think our players know, obviously we're grateful for the win, but it's like, we got to play better than that. We got to stop some special teams. We got to stop all these penalties. There's a bunch of small things and attention to detail that we got to focus on. We know the talent's there. It's just like, are we going to put it onto the field and transition it from practice. I saw Coach Prime was like screaming at the team earlier today because he's like, when are you guys going to want it for yourself and not just for me? Let's start the practice over. And it shows. I mean, they realize it's not like we got the win. We're all thinking we're the real deal and just like lagging off. Like it's still strictly business. There's lots of improvement, and I think there's no better way to do it than a top-ranked team in the Big 12 with UCF.
Yeah. Last concluding words I will say is I wholeheartedly agree with you. This game will most likely be decided in the first quarter. I think if Colorado is able to stay in the game, we can do this. We can get this win. And a lot of people are probably wondering, oh, gee, Oscar, why do you have the captain hat on? Because I'm here for the ride, baby. We're going into Florida. We're burning the boats, and we ain't coming back. We're coming back to Colorado, 4-1. Let's go, man. Skull Buffs.
Oh, man, here we go. I love it. If y'all are still listening, we appreciate y'all. We're just going up with this journey every single week, pregame and postgame press conference / just chopping it up. I mean, that's how we started this thing. Chop talk sports, baby. But yeah, let's go in there. Spread is a lock, by the way, but we aren't bettors. Anyways, let's go Buffs. Appreciate y'all for listening, and tune in next week when after the Buffs shock the world once again.
Scoey.